12 shocking new ancient discoveries that could rewrite human history. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ancient History channel. My friends, are you like me? Every time you hear about archaeology, it feels like peeling back layers of time, where every artifact, every trace tells a story that's been forgotten for thousands of years. And the fascinating part is, the deeper we dig, the more we realize. History is far more complex than what we were ever taught. Just think about it. Out in the vast deserts of Egypt, a place we assume is nothing but sand and ancient pyramids, scientists have unexpectedly discovered an entire city buried deep beneath the ground. A city that lay hidden for thousands of years, filled with countless strange objects that had never appeared in any historical record before. Then in China, the excavation of an ancient tomb left researchers completely stunned, as they uncovered technologies that simply shouldn't have existed in that time period. Just hearing about it sounds unbelievable, right? So what about you? Have you ever wondered if history might be hiding secrets far greater than what we currently know? Or have you ever come across a discovery that completely changed the way you see the ancient world? Don't hesitate. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your perspectives on the ancient world. And in today's video, I'm taking you on a journey through some of the most mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries ever found. Stories that might leave you asking yourself, is this truly real or something beyond explanation? So, are you ready? If you are, then let's dive straight into the very first discovery right now. The skeleton of a giant human and a coiled serpent. The stories of giants we heard as children, do you think they're just imagination? Or could there be a fragment of truth buried beneath the dust of time? From east to west, nearly every culture carries traces of enormous beings. In Greek mythology, the goddess Gaia created the Titans, giants who possessed terrifying power. And Odysseus, during his long journey, also encountered giants on a remote island in the middle of the ocean. In the east, the legend of Fuxi is even more mysterious. It is said that his mother became pregnant simply by stepping into the footprint of a giant, giving birth to a legendary ancestor. Yet as time passed, especially after the 1700s, when modern science began to rapidly develop, such stories were gradually pushed into the realm of myth. Many scientists even argued that giants were nothing more than products of human imagination. But then, certain archaeological discoveries made even them pause and begin to ask, have we been wrong? One of the most controversial findings comes from an excavation at Khao Khunup Nam Cave in Krabi Province, Thailand. There, archaeologists reportedly uncovered a human skeleton measuring between 16 and 20 feet in length, an almost unimaginable figure by modern human standards. But what makes this discovery even more chilling is what lay beside it: the remains of a giant serpent, as if the two creatures had once faced each other in a life-and-death battle. Just imagine it. A human 2 or even 3 times our size confronting a massive reptilian beast. What would that scene look like? Could it resemble the ancient legends passed down through generations? According to reports and statements from the excavation team, this was no random find. The Krabi region has long been known for its ancient traces. Fossils of Siamopithecus eocinus, estimated to be around 35 million years old, were previously discovered here. While not a direct human ancestor, the species suggests that this area was once home to remarkably unique ancient creatures. Even more intriguing, Professor Niwat Watanayaporn of Kasetsart University revealed that the evidence in the cave was not limited to bones. It also showed signs of a massive confrontation, eerily consistent with a local legend about a battle between the giant Asura and the serpent deity Naga. According to the story, both fell in love with the same princess and ultimately clashed in a relentless battle. In the end, they were transformed into 2 mountain ranges flanking the Krabi River as we see today. And it doesn't stop there. Creatures like the Naga are also believed to dwell in underground cities known as Patala and Bhogavati, places described as magnificent yet completely mysterious. What's truly astonishing is that the skeleton discovered in the cave is nearly intact, from the skull and rib cage all the way down to the leg bones. If fully verified, this would mark the first time since the 2004 tsunami that such a complete giant human skeleton has been witnessed. Of course, there are still many skeptics, but remember, in modern history, we have recorded a man who stood 8 feet 11 inches tall, Robert Pershing Wadlow of Illinois. So perhaps in an ancient environment with vastly different climates and growth conditions, the existence of giant beings may not be as far-fetched as it seems. So if one day science officially confirms that giants once existed, what would you think? Would it be a groundbreaking discovery, or the opening of a door to mysteries humanity may not yet be ready to face? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 800-year-old bound mummy in Peru. Ancient ritual with no clear explanation. You know, our world is already filled with countless mysteries, but the world of archaeology is even more mysterious. Some discoveries simply make people say, "Wow," and move on. But others, just a single glance at them is enough to send chills down your spine. And the story of a tightly bound mummy found along the central coast of Peru is a perfect example of that. In what seems like a peaceful setting near the capital city of Lima, Peru, archaeologists uncovered a body estimated to be at least 800 years old. But what made everyone stop and think was its unusual position. The entire body was tightly wrapped in ropes, not randomly tied, but carefully and firmly bound, as if there were a clear purpose behind it. The hands covered the face, creating an image that feels both mysterious and deeply unsettling. According to archaeologist Peter van Dalen Luna from the National University of San Marcos, the identity and gender of the mummy have not yet been definitively determined. However, many signs suggest that this individual once belonged to an ancient community that lived between the mountains and coastal regions of Peru, an area where many pre-Inca cultures once existed, known for their unique burial practices. The body was discovered inside an underground structure on the outskirts of Lima, resembling a deliberately constructed tomb. Inside, in addition to the mummy, researchers found a range of burial items such as pottery, plant remains, and stone tools. This indicates that the deceased was not abandoned, but rather buried with a relatively formal ritual. Yet it is precisely that sense of formality that makes the unusual detail stand out even more. Why was the body bound in such a way? Based on initial analysis, Van Dalen Luna suggests that binding the body may have been part of an ancient funerary ritual. It's possible that people in the past believed tying the body would prevent the soul from wandering or help keep the deceased in place in the afterlife. It sounds reasonable, but the more you think about it, the more it feels like there may be something deeper behind it. To better understand the discovery, the next step for scientists is to use radiocarbon dating to determine the exact age and learn more about the mummy's origins. Who knows, these analyses might reveal details we've never even imagined before. As you may know, Peru is no stranger to shocking discoveries. Back in 2017, a mummy known as Maria, discovered in Nazca, captured global attention. With only 3 fingers, 3 toes, and covered in a strange white powder, Maria quickly became a focal point of scientific debate. Analysis showed that she was a female individual about 1,800 years old, with 98.5% of her DNA belonging to primates, nearly human, yet still containing a small, unidentified portion. This discovery was even considered one of the most astonishing of the 21st century, with the potential to change history. And perhaps this bound 800-year-old mummy could be just as significant. Once all the mysteries behind it are fully uncovered, it may leave us with a profound impression of the past, especially of what life and death looked like 800 years ago. Isn't that fascinating? Two gold-covered mummies, a clue to Cleopatra's lost tomb? Have you ever wondered if digging just a few more feet into the ground could allow humanity to touch a secret buried for over 2,000 years? It may sound far-fetched, but in the ancient site of Taposiris Magna, located along Egypt's Nile Delta, that possibility is slowly becoming real. In fact, it has become a prime example that has the entire archaeological world holding its breath, watching every step of the process. During excavations at this site, archaeologists uncovered 2 incredibly unusual mummies. These were not the typical mummies we often see, but bodies that had been preserved with extraordinary care, even covered in gold leaf, a luxurious privilege reserved only for the highest elite of ancient Egyptian society. That detail alone raises a powerful question. Who were these individuals to receive such exceptional treatment? Initial assessments suggest that this may be a high-status male and female pair, possibly directly connected to the reign of Queen Cleopatra. More specifically, They may have been priests who played significant roles in maintaining the authority of Cleopatra and her famous lover, the Roman general Mark Antony. If this is true, then this discovery is far more than just two mummies. It could be a crucial piece of the unfinished puzzle surrounding the legendary queen. Their tomb lies deep within an ancient temple. Unfortunately, after more than 2,000 years, the structure is no longer sealed, allowing water to seep in and partially damage the remains. Even so, experts consider the level of preservation to be relatively good, especially since the gold leaf still clings to the bodies. On one of the mummies, there is even an image of a scarab beetle, a powerful symbol of rebirth in ancient Egyptian culture. And the discoveries don't stop there. At the same site, archaeologists also found around 200 coins bearing the name and portrait of Cleopatra. Her prominent nose and cleft chin, as depicted on the coins, suggest that she may not have been as conventionally beautiful as she is often portrayed by actresses on screen, most notably Elizabeth Taylor in the 1963 film Cleopatra. It may seem like a small detail, but it carries significant weight. It serves as a strong indication that this site is closely connected to Cleopatra's reign. But what truly fuels curiosity is this: if her closest associates were buried here, could Cleopatra herself be resting somewhere nearby? As you know, for thousands of years, the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony has remained one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. Since her death in 30 BC, countless theories have been proposed, yet no definitive evidence has ever confirmed its exact location. There were even rumors in 2019 claiming the tomb had been found, but in the end, none of them proved true. However, this latest discovery offers a new glimmer of hope. The temple where the two mummies were found is located very close to Alexandria, the capital of Egypt during Cleopatra's reign. Because of this, many experts believe that placing such important figures here was no coincidence. It could very well be a core zone leading to the queen's true resting place, along with that of her lover. Among them is Dr. Kathleen Martinez, who has spent more than 14 years researching this site. She has stated that she has never been more confident than she is now that Cleopatra's tomb is very close. That said, despite excavations that have been ongoing since 2005, archaeologists have only explored a small portion of this vast complex. So the question remains, could just a few more feet of earth bring us face to face with one of the greatest secrets in human history? Or will Cleopatra continue to remain hidden, defying every effort of modern science? And what about you? If Cleopatra's tomb were finally discovered one day, what do you think would be revealed inside? A massive treasure, or secrets that could completely change how we understand the ancient world? Personally, I think it might be both. Mass grave containing 450 skeletons and Europe's most terrifying vampire obsession. Some construction projects may seem completely ordinary, but with just one shovel strike into the ground, a horrifying secret from the past can suddenly come to light. And what happened in 2013 in the village of Lucino, in northeastern Poland, is one such discovery, one that sends chills down anyone's spine. The story began during the construction of a road, when workers accidentally came across a very unusual burial site. Archaeologists were quickly called in. As they carefully carried out the excavation, they realized this was no ordinary grave, but a mass burial containing around 450 skeletons. That alone is unsettling. But what's even more disturbing is the way these bodies were buried. According to archaeologists, the best preserved skeletons were found in extremely unusual positions. The skulls were not placed on the neck as expected, but instead positioned between the legs. And that's not all. Each of them had a coin placed inside their mouth. Researchers believe this was not random, but part of a ritual meant to restrain the dead. It was believed that placing a coin in the mouth would prevent the soul from returning, while removing the head from the body ensured that the deceased could not rise again. Simply put, people feared that these individuals would come back as vampires. Just hearing that is enough to give you chills, isn't it? But the truth is, in Polish folklore, vampire legends are far from uncommon. In fact, this fear was so deeply rooted that it directly influenced burial practices. Beyond common methods like using garlic, crosses, or holy water, people in the past also used more extreme measures, such as decapitation, driving stakes through the heart, or even sealing bodies inside metal coffins. Terrifying, right? Returning to the Lucino site, archaeologists also discovered 3 large containers filled with bones, suggesting that this may have been a place where multiple bodies were subjected to the same ritual. Estimates indicate that these individuals were buried around the 19th century, only about 200 years ago, not as ancient as many might assume. So the question is, what caused hundreds of people to be suspected of being vampires at the same time? After extensive analysis, scientists believe the cause may be linked to an outbreak of disease in the region. Illnesses such as tuberculosis, anemia, or genetic disorders could cause symptoms like pale skin, weakness, sensitivity to light, and even coughing up blood. With the limited medical knowledge at the time, these signs could easily be mistaken for evidence of vampirism. And when fear reaches its peak, people are willing to do anything to protect themselves, even to those who have already died. By now, you can probably see that the mass grave in Luceno is not just an ordinary archaeological discovery. It stands as a powerful reminder of humanity's collective fear in the past, where the line between disease and superstition was almost non-existent. So what do you think? If you had lived in that era, when science was still undeveloped and strange events kept happening, would you have believed in vampires? Or would you have been one of the people contributing to the creation of such haunting graves? Don't hesitate. Share your thoughts in the comments below. The preserved body of a man on a yacht. Out in the vast ocean, where no human footsteps exist and only the sound of waves echoes day and night, there are sometimes stories that people can never forget. And it was here that a discovery once stunned both the archaeological world and the global public because of how strange it was. The story began in 2016 when two Filipino fishermen were working offshore near the waters of Barobo in Surigao del Sur province, Philippines, in the Indian Ocean. While drifting at sea, they suddenly spotted an old white yacht floating aimlessly. The torn sail and weathered hull created a scene that felt both desolate and deeply unsettling. Then, as they approached to investigate, what they saw inside the vessel was almost impossible to believe. Inside the cabin, they found a body that was still nearly intact, slumped over a desk as if the man had simply fallen asleep. The man was identified as Manfred Fritz Bajorat, a 59-year-old German adventurer who had been reported missing about a year earlier while sailing alone. What's truly astonishing is that after more than a year adrift at sea, his body showed almost no signs of decomposition. There was no decay as we would normally expect. Instead, his body had dried out, shriveled, and been preserved in a way strikingly similar to ancient mummies. Just think about it. In the middle of a humid ocean environment, how could something like that even happen? And there's more. Upon closer inspection, Bajorat was found leaning forward over the desk, right next to a radiophone. This detail led many to believe that before he died, he may have tried to call for help, but failed. Just imagining that moment, does it send chills down your spine? A man alone in the open sea, desperately trying to reach the mainland, and then silence. Inside the yacht, authorities also found faded photos of his family and friends, along with a letter addressed to his late wife. These details turn the story into more than just a mystery. They add a deeply human sense of sorrow. According to scientific analysis, the reason his body did not decompose lies in the unique environmental conditions. Dry sea winds, high temperatures, salty air, and low bacterial activity caused rapid dehydration, creating a natural mummification effect. In other words, the ocean itself unintentionally turned him into a modern mummy. Fisherman Christopher Rivas, one of the two men who first discovered the yacht, recalled that he immediately felt something was wrong when he saw the vessel. And indeed, after further investigation, police found no signs of violence or struggle. There were no indications of an attack, suggesting that Bajorat likely died of natural causes, such as a heart attack or stroke. However, the exact time of his death remains unknown, and that uncertainty makes the story even more haunting. So what about you? If one day you were out at sea and came across a drifting boat with a mummy inside, what would you do? Would you turn back and head for shore, or move closer to find out what happened? As for me, I'll go first. To be honest, I'm a bit of a coward, so I'd probably turn around and leave the peace to the departed. 600-year-old prosthetic hand reveals medieval medical secrets that astonish modern science. My friend, have you ever wondered if hundreds of years ago, long before modern machines or advanced technology, even back then, people were already capable of creating artificial limbs to replace missing parts of the body? It may sound hard to believe, but a discovery in Germany in 2023 has made many people rethink everything they thought they knew about medieval medicine. That year, during an archaeological study, researchers uncovered an ancient skeleton near a church in the town of Freising, in Bavaria, about 25 miles north of Munich. At first, it seemed like an ordinary find, but the deeper they analyzed it, the more they realized something was truly remarkable. What caught everyone's attention was a metal prosthetic hand buried alongside the skeleton. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists determined that the man had lived sometime between 1450 and 1620. This means the prosthetic hand is nearly 600 years old, a detail that surprised everyone. The man is believed to have died between the ages of 30 and 50. Notably, his left hand was missing 4 fingers, but instead of accepting this disability, he used a carefully crafted prosthetic. The outer metal structure resembled a sturdy box that enclosed the injured part of the hand. Inside, there was a soft lining similar to bandaging, likely used to cushion the area and reduce pain. Just hearing this, you can already tell, people of the past were not as primitive as we often assume. On the contrary, they had a certain level of understanding about medicine and post-injury care. Imagine this. In an era when surgery itself was extremely risky, losing a limb was already life-threatening. Yet they were still able to design tools that allowed injured individuals to continue functioning in daily life. What does that tell us? Doesn't it show just how strong human creativity and the will to survive were back then? This becomes even more convincing when we consider the historical context of Freising. It was once a strategic region during the Middle Ages, especially during the 30 Years' War, where many intense battles took place. With large numbers of wounded soldiers, particularly those who required amputations, the demand for prosthetic limbs must have increased significantly. And indeed, across Central Europe, more than 50 similar discoveries have been recorded, showing that this was not an isolated case. Throughout history, humans have created even more astonishing prosthetics. For example, the mechanical hand of the knight Guts von Berlichingen, made after 1530, was even capable of movement, something nearly unimaginable at the time. Or going further back, in ancient Egypt, archaeologists discovered a prosthetic toe over 3,000 years old, crafted for the daughter of a priest. It not only helped her walk more easily, but also maintained a natural appearance. As you can see, no matter the era, humans have always found ways to adapt and overcome the limitations of their bodies. Whether facing war, illness, or accidents, they never stopped innovating, continuing to live and to survive. And honestly, that's something we in the modern world can truly learn from, isn't it? 700-year-old tomb. Beneath a sweet potato field, a reviving mummy the moment the coffin was opened. In 1953, in a small village in Hubei province, China, a farmer was harvesting sweet potatoes when he suddenly noticed a small hard object underground that seemed to be giving off a faint glow. After wiping away the dirt, he realized it was a jade hairpin. The piece was exquisitely crafted, with soft, intricate carvings that were still clearly visible. Even though he wasn't an expert, he could tell this was no ordinary object. His decision to hand the hairpin over to the authorities set off a chain of events that would astonish the entire archaeological community. After examination, experts concluded that the hairpin could only have belonged to someone of noble or royal status. Immediately, an archaeological team was dispatched to the site. And just as expected, beneath that ordinary sweet potato field lay an ancient tomb dating back around 700 years. During the excavation, they discovered 2 coffins inside, both remarkably well preserved. Even the carved patterns on the wooden surfaces remained as sharp as if they had been made only recently. But what truly made everyone's heart stop was what lay inside. When the first coffin was opened, the body of a woman appeared, almost completely intact and submerged in liquid. The scene left everyone both astonished and deeply curious. But just a few minutes later, something unimaginable happened. The body began to change right before their eyes. The abdomen and limbs rapidly swelled, as if being filled with air. The tongue protruded outward, and the face, initially still recognizable, gradually became distorted and unrecognizable. Witnesses at the scene described the body's stomach as expanding like a balloon about to burst. Just imagine standing there. Would you be able to stay calm? And it didn't stop there. Moments later, the body suddenly collapsed, shrank, and began to decompose rapidly. The entire process happened so quickly that many people couldn't even comprehend what they had just witnessed. It may sound like a supernatural phenomenon, but in reality, there is a scientific explanation. According to experts, the coffin had not been completely sealed, allowing groundwater to seep in over a long period of time. The body, immersed in this environment, created ideal conditions for bacteria, especially gas-producing bacteria, to thrive. When the coffin was opened, air rushed in, triggering the production of gases inside the body, causing it to swell. Then, as pressure changed, the gas escaped, the body collapsed, and decomposition accelerated rapidly. A completely natural process, but without prior knowledge, it would undoubtedly leave anyone deeply shaken. As for the identity of the deceased, the only clue found was a wooden tablet inscribed with the words, Madame Tan. Unfortunately, historical records contain no clear information about this woman. This is not surprising, as in feudal societies, even noble women were rarely fully documented in official history. Fortunately, in the second coffin, archaeologists discovered a memorial tablet identifying the male occupant as Huang Chengkun, an official who lived from the Song dynasty into the Yuan dynasty and died at the age of 78. In simple terms, he held a status comparable to that of a modern-day city leader. But who was the woman? Why was her body preserved in such a strange way? And beneath ordinary fields like this, how many other secrets are still waiting to be uncovered? To this day, all of it remains a mystery that no one has been able to fully explain. 26 feet long dinosaur skeleton discovered intact in China. During an excavation in June 2021 in Lufeng County, Yunnan Province, China, paleontologists uncovered an ancient dinosaur skeleton preserved in a condition that amazed everyone. The skeleton measures nearly 26 feet in length, and remarkably, about 70% of it remains intact. That might sound like just a number, but in the scientific world, it's considered a miracle. Typically, what remains of dinosaurs are only scattered bone fragments, dispersed over millions of years of geological change. But this time was different. This is nearly a complete skeleton, allowing researchers to form a much clearer picture of what this creature actually looked like around 180 million years ago during the Jurassic period, a time when humans did not yet exist, but giant creatures like this once walked the earth. Wang Tao, head of the Dinosaur Fossil Research and Conservation Center in Lufeng, confirmed that a fossil with such a high level of completeness is extremely rare, not only in China but worldwide. And if you put yourself in the scientists' position, you can understand why they are so excited. Based on analysis and comparisons with previously discovered fossils, the research team believes this dinosaur belongs to the species Lufengosaurus, one of the largest herbivorous dinosaurs that lived in the region during the early Jurassic period. It moved on 4 legs, had a massive body, but was not a predator. Instead, it survived mainly on plants. Interestingly, although most of the skeleton has already been uncovered, scientists are still searching for a very important missing piece, the skull. The skull is crucial not only for confirming the exact species, but also for providing valuable insights into its diet, behavior, and daily habits. Just think about it. From bones buried underground for hundreds of millions of years, humans are able to reconstruct an entire lost world. It sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But that's exactly what paleontology does every day. That's why this discovery is more than just a fossil. It's a gateway to the past. It helps us better understand the evolution of life and how living organisms on Earth have changed over millions of years. More importantly, it reminds us that this planet once belonged to creatures completely different from humans. So what about you? When you look at a massive dinosaur skeleton like this, do you feel a little smaller? And if you had the chance to travel back to the Jurassic period, would you dare to stand face to face with a 26-foot-long creature like this? 829 handprints on a rock wall, revealing a mysterious 9,000-year-old message from ancient humans. In the windswept, sun-scorched land of Patagonia, where vegetation is sparse and the climate is harsh, there is a valley known as Pinturas, a landscape shaped by uplift and erosion over millions of years. Long ago, a river once flowed through this area, but today only its dry traces remain. Still, groundwater continues to seep to the surface, forming a patch of green like an oasis in the middle of this barren land. And nearby lies a cave that has captivated the world's curiosity. The cave is called Cueva de las Manos. It is about 66 feet wide and 33 feet high. Not enormous, but it holds an invaluable treasure. Right at the entrance, hundreds of handprints cover the rock walls, layered on top of one another, stretching like a flowing stream of time. In total, there are 829 handprints, along with images of animals and hunting scenes preserved across generations. What makes this even more fascinating is that these markings were not created all at once. They span multiple time periods. The oldest date back to around 7,420 BC, while the more recent ones are still over 1,500 years old. This means that for thousands of years, people kept returning to this place, leaving their handprints behind. The ancient inhabitants of Patagonia were primarily hunter-gatherers, and their most important prey was the guanaco, a wild camelid species. To hunt them, people lived along cliff edges and sheltered in caves, allowing them to observe and pursue their prey. Archaeological evidence such as stone tools and traces of fire has also been found here, confirming that this was once a real living site, not just a ceremonial location. The cave paintings can be divided into three distinct phases. The earliest phase depicts vivid hunting scenes, guanacos running, some even shown pregnant, along with their footprints. It's like a slow-motion film capturing the lives of prehistoric humans. In the second phase, from around 5,120 to 1420 BC, the handprints began to appear in a very distinctive way. People placed their hands on the rock wall, then used a small hollow bone, like a straw, to blow pigment around them. When the hand was removed, a clear silhouette remained. Most of the prints are left hands, because the right hand was used to hold the spraying tool. It may sound simple, but creating hundreds of such handprints was certainly not done just for fun. The colors are also remarkably varied. Shades of red, black, white, and even green. All were made by grinding minerals and mixing them with guanaco fat, a technique that reveals the incredible creativity of people at the time. However, among the hundreds of handprints, one detail has puzzled scientists. A handprint with 6 fingers. Was it made by someone with a physical anomaly, or was it simply a playful act from thousands of years ago? To this day, no one knows for sure. In the final phase, lasting until around 580 AD, more abstract images begin to appear: lines, dots, and geometric shapes. Some experts believe these may be connected to spiritual beliefs or perhaps a form of communication that we still do not understand. 30,000-year-old skeleton reveals when ancient humans went through puberty. Many of you might be surprised to learn that teenagers from the Ice Age, between 10,000 and 30,000 years ago, actually went through puberty in ways very similar to us today. That's right. According to a recent study by an international team of archaeologists, ancient adolescents not only began puberty at nearly the same ages as modern humans, but also experienced remarkably similar physical changes. So what has happened over tens of thousands of years that allowed human development to maintain such a stable genetic blueprint? An international research team analyzed the skeletons of 13 ancient adolescents discovered at 7 archaeological sites across Europe, from the warmer regions of Italy to colder areas such as Russia and the Czech Republic. By carefully studying bone features, they were able to determine that these individuals went through puberty between the ages of 13 and 16, very close to the average puberty age among modern foraging populations, which is around 12.5 to 14 years old. This finding surprised scientists as it shows that the timing of puberty in Homo sapiens, even during the harsh conditions of ancient times, has not changed significantly compared to today. In fact, Ice Age teenagers may have experienced a longer adolescence. They typically reached full physical maturity between the ages of 16 and 21, which is later than modern Western adolescents, who are often considered physically mature between 16 and 18. This could reflect the reality of ancient life, which was filled with challenges. The human body may have adapted by developing more slowly in order to survive in such harsh environments. Not to mention the lack of consistent nutrition, the constant pressure of survival, and the daily challenges ancient teenagers faced, from hunting and avoiding predators to enduring freezing winters. Perhaps the most fascinating conclusion comes from Mary Lewis, a bioarchaeologist at the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. She suggests that the average puberty age of around 13.5 may represent a kind of biological genetic blueprint for humans, a stable milestone that has persisted throughout our evolutionary history. This idea is further supported by archaeologist April Nowell, who emphasizes that the common belief that modern teenagers are entering puberty earlier is not entirely accurate. In reality, the pattern of adolescent development has remained remarkably consistent for tens of thousands of years. So why is studying puberty in prehistoric teenagers so important? Because it helps archaeologists better understand how humans developed in the past, both biologically and culturally. Puberty is not just a physical transition, it also carries deep social meaning. Were teenagers considered adults within their communities? Were they given decision-making power, allowed to participate in hunts, or involved in coming-of-age rituals? Through fossilized skeletons that may seem lifeless, scientists are telling the stories of young people who lived, loved, feared, and grew up, just like we do today. A remarkable journey that connects the present with the distant past through vivid pieces of human history. 2,400-year-old royal toilet in China, an ancient technology that makes the world rethink history. On February 18, 2024, at the archaeological site of Yueyang in Shanxi Province, China, scientists excavated the lower portion of a manually flushing toilet dating back around 2,400 years. At first, it may sound simple, but think about it. At a time when many civilizations didn't even have basic sanitation systems, the existence of a toilet that could flush is truly astonishing. The location of this discovery is far from ordinary. Yueyang served as the capital of the Qin dynasty for 35 years and later became the first capital of the Han dynasty. This region witnessed major turning points in Chinese history, so any discovery here carries exceptional significance. Archaeologists believe this toilet may have been used by individuals of very high status, possibly Duke Xiao of Qin, his father, or even Liu Bang, the founding emperor of the Han dynasty. Although the exact owner has not yet been identified, the mere possibility greatly increases the importance of the find. What surprised experts the most is the structure of the toilet itself. According to research from the Institute of Archaeology under the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, this is the oldest and only flushing toilet ever discovered in China so far. It is not just an everyday object. It is clear evidence that ancient people already had knowledge of water supply, drainage systems, and environmental hygiene at a very early stage. The toilet was installed inside a room within a house, connected to a drainage pipe that led waste outside. Although the upper portion has not been found, researchers believe the user likely squatted or sat directly on it. After each use, a servant would pour water to flush it, creating a relatively effective cleaning system for that time. More than 2,000 years ago, when most people still relieved themselves outdoors or used very primitive methods, the elite already had private indoor bathrooms with flushing mechanisms. This clearly reflects social stratification, while also highlighting the remarkable technological advancements of the Qin and Han dynasties. Not stopping there, scientists are also analyzing soil samples from the surrounding area, hoping to uncover more information about ancient diets, health conditions, and how human waste may have been used in agriculture. These small pieces of data could help reconstruct a more complete picture of everyday life thousands of years ago. Interestingly, many people once believed that the flushing toilet was invented by John Harrington in the 16th century for Queen Elizabeth I. However, the discovery at Yueyang proves that more than 2,400 years ago, people in China had already developed similar ideas and technologies, arguably far ahead of their time. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? The largest 2,000-year-old stone sarcophagus in Alexandria. In July 2018, a remarkable archaeological discovery captured global attention when a massive granite sarcophagus measuring about 8.5 feet in length was unearthed in Alexandria, Egypt. It is considered the largest sarcophagus ever discovered in this historic city. The coffin was found alongside a giant stone head, which may belong to the man buried inside the tomb. This discovery not only provides new insight into ancient Egyptian burial practices, but also offers valuable information about the Ptolemaic period. The tomb was excavated by researchers from Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities during a survey in the Sidi Gabor district of Alexandria. The discovery occurred while the archaeological team was inspecting a plot of land owned by a resident prior to construction. The sarcophagus was buried more than 16 feet underground and has been dated to the Ptolemaic period, which lasted from 332 to 30 BC. making it over 2,000 years old. The sarcophagus was crafted from black granite and features impressive dimensions, approximately 6.1 feet high, 8.7 feet long, and 5.4 feet wide. Dr. Ayman Ashmawi, head of the Ancient Egyptian Antiquities sector, stated that the layer of mortar sealing the lid to the body of the sarcophagus indicates it had not been opened since it was first sealed. This has raised many questions about the identity of the individual buried inside and the connection between the giant stone head and the tomb. In addition to this discovery, in May 2018, Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities also announced another significant find from the Ptolemaic period at the archaeological site of San el Hagar. There, researchers uncovered a massive Roman bath along with various artifacts, including ceramic vessels, terracotta figurines, bronze tools, carved stone fragments, and a statue. Most notably, a gold coin bearing the face of King Ptolemy III, a ruler from the 3rd century BC, was discovered at the site. The coin weighs about 1 ounce, measures approximately 1 inch in diameter, and is inscribed with letters translating to "prosperous land," along with the king's name. Dr. Ashmawi also suggested that a large red brick structure found at San el Hagar may have been part of a Greco-Roman bath complex, measuring about 52.5 feet in length and 11.5 feet in width. Researchers hope that further excavations will shed more light on this structure and its function in the past. My friends, it's truly difficult to fully explain all the mysteries left behind by ancient civilizations. Could all of this be evidence supporting the idea of our ancestors' evolution? What do you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give ancient history a like and subscribe so you won't miss any more fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye, and see you in the next video.